Hey guys, I'm going to do something a little different today than I normally do. One of the issues is the ocean has just been horrible here in Oregon. Let me go sit down over here, get comfortable. One of the things that I wanted to do today is just kind of talk about the gear that I use when I go fishing. Today I just thought I'd pick out the Rockfish, since that's probably going to be the species I'll be going for if I ever get out, but doesn't look like it. We got to go back to Wyoming on Tuesday this next week, get our taxes done. We'll probably spend a couple months in Wyoming, then be back. Well, next week the weather's supposed to clear up, of course, but doesn't mean the ocean isn't going to be nice. You know, here it's a beautiful sunny day, but we got 9-10 foot swells out there, 5 or 6 seconds apart. It's just too much for me. Even the party boats, they have troubles getting out. So, but anyway, I'd like to do is go over some of the gear that I've used this last year, and the years before. I usually, when I'm doing this, I have so much experience in bass fishing, because that's what I did for years and years and years professionally, and so I thought maybe today I would just kind of go through some of the things that I took from the bass fishing and put it into the Rockfish and lingcod, basically what we're gonna focus on today. So I guess first what I want to talk about are, I guess, spinning reels. Of course, everybody knows what they are. This one, if you watch my other video, I've only caught maybe a dozen fish on this. I've only been out 3 times in 3 months, so it's been kind of tough. But it's a Daiwa, the BG 3000. And it's a good reel. I mean, I like it. The drag setup's nice. You know, I haven't had any issues with salt yet. It's supposed to be one of the great things about this reel. And I put the wrong spot there. And I paired that up with that same reel or rod that I had before. It's that G Loomis 6.6 medium heavy. Let me explain something too. Everybody says, "Oh, we're going deep sea fishing." You know, you don't have to have these monster reels and monster line to go out and go fishing in the ocean. Yeah, if you're going to go for halibut or tuna, you want to beef it up things a little bit, you know, some bigger fish like that, yeah. But, you know, lingcod, they average 10 pounds around here. You know, you'll get some up to 15, 20 sometimes. But most of the time they're 10 pounds and under, you know, 24, 25 inches long, which is great. This is perfect for that. I don't know that you could go wrong with this. And spinning reel, yeah, it's going to be a little bit light for that. Then you go to a bait caster, it's a different story. But anyway, on this one, and all I really do is I go with 30-pound braid, and that seems to be fine. The clarity of the water out here really isn't all that good. You might be able to see 6-7 feet down in the water, so being line shy, sometimes the rockfish will have issues with that, but generally not. So a lot of guys will tie like a fluorocarbon on the end of these. I don't even do that. Even when the fish are up shallow, you know, sometimes I might. If they do get, you know, a little shy up on top, I'll put some either monofilament on, fluorocarbon or something like that, which will really help if they're a little bit shy. So, but that's what I like to do with these here. Again, that's an expensive pole, expensive reel. You don't need to have that. You know, I think a lot of friends come up here and visit us in Oregon, and a lot of them don't fish a lot. A lot of them will beat your reels up, and you don't want to have something real expensive. So what I do is I go down to Walmart and I buy this ugly stick, and it is cheap. It's 6.6 USSPM 622M. The 6.6. I don't know if you can read that. 6.6 on there. You know, and it's kind of beefy. For lingcod, yeah, it's pretty light. We don't use it. But again, for the rockfish, they weigh 2 to 6 pounds. That's generally what we catch. So just like you're fishing for bass, you know, if you've been in a bass lake, whether it's smallmouth or largemouth, something like that. So that's what I use, and you know, and you can get these for $39.95, and I've gone through 2 or 3 of them. Yeah, they don't last a long time, but for $40, you know, the rods will last. Usually, the reels would give out because of the salt. So it's a good rod, good reel for a beginner, and I'll tell you honest truth, I use it too. You know, I have issues. So the next thing I'm going to go to are bait casters. You know, level wines. Again, if you look at this is a salt inshore reel. I've got a couple of these, and so far they've just been dynamite. They've held up well in the last year and a half, I guess. I paired this up. I had a G Loomis rod too left over from my bass fishing, just like the spinning rod. And I had issues with breaking those rods a lot. And I was out herring fishing the other day and accidentally broke it. And you know, they're $375 fishing poles. I didn't really want to buy another one. So anyway, went to Cabela's, got this Abu Garcia. It is 7.6 medium heavy fast. It goes from 3/8 to 1/4 lure. And you know what? I tell you what, I've used this 3 times now since I've been out. 2 times. And the tip, it's a light tip, but it's got a lot of backbone to it. And I think I caught some lings probably in the 9-10 pound range with it. No issues. I mean, it was great. So I'm kind of sold on that. One thing I have found out, you don't want anything really expensive. When you have a lot of guys in the boat and you're fishing around, things get stepped on, broke on, guys get hung up. Oh, that's another thing I want to talk about. Another thing, the braided line, it is tough stuff. 30-pound test, it's thin diameter, but it is tough. So when you get hung up with those spinning reels without a monofilament on the end of it, I'm going to tell you, you're going to play hell breaking it off. Put a little, 15-pound monofilament on there for those rockfish, that would be great. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. Give you a little more experience, just stay with the braid, and there's not going to be any issues with the braid on there. I also have some other reels that I use. Oh, this is for lingcod mostly, generally what I'll use this for. I got some other reels. I'll just give you a quick picture of those in a little bit, and show you what I use alternatively. Almost the same rods I use for salmon too, but they work good. They're all 9-foot rods, good backbone to them, a little bit lighter in the tip. But these rods, they work really great for this. And I want to tell you too, I mean, there's guys out there saying, "Oh, you're full of crap. That's not what you want to do." Whatever. Hey, there's 100 guys out there with 100 different ideas and 100 different opinions. But this is what I've done, and it's my opinion. That's I've been very successful doing this, and I'll continue to do it. So I'm going to show you some lures that I use here now. I'm going to switch cameras off a little bit and see what we can do as far as showing you what kind of lures we use. Alright, I'm back. So I'm going to show you these lures I was telling you about. There's just a few of them. And I'll just kind of go through a few of these at a time. So here's some of them that I use, and they're usually, I don't know what they are in grams. A lot of people tell them in grams, but these are 3 ounces here. These over here are 2 ounces. And depending on your current, your drift, you may need something a little bit heavy. Usually 3 is about as heavy as you have to go. Now you can see on some of these, I used these last fall, and they're beat up. I mean, if you get one that works good, you just keep using it. And you can see these hooks are just totally rusted. I use a single hook like that a lot. For the simple reason is you're fishing usually around rocks, reefs and that kind of thing, and what'll happen is you'll end up snagging up on that reef, and it's easier to pull it out with a single hook like it. You don't get hooked up as much. Also, what I will use are these, and you can see how rusted these are too. Same thing, I used this last year. These colors are all good. They all work in these 3 ounces. And you can buy a pack of these. And what's really nice about these, you can see they're kind of split like that. You can see that there. But they'll pull out and break off real easy. But they really last pretty good on a fish. Now you get a big lingcod on there. If you're not careful with them, you'll lose them. Yeah, but it's just part of the game, which that's okay. So anyway, use those, and use those for vertical jigging. Straight up down on the bottom. If you let the lure go back a ways from the boat, you're going to get snagged up on those rocks. So the more vertical you can keep it, the better off it's going to be. Alright, so let's talk about rockfish first. And you can use those for rockfish and lingcod. So they'll catch, either one of them will catch it. So on the rockfish, let's take that one first. There's a lot of different things you can catch them on. A lot of the party boats out here will use these, what they call a shrimp fly. They just usually get 3 of them in a pack. They work, I mean, if you're just looking for little keeper fish, I think they work okay. How many times I used this last year? I got a dozen of them in here. I haven't used them once. I never had the have to. So I just, you know, if things really got tough and they're on a really tough bite, yeah, I'll use them, but I haven't got to that point yet. But I'll show you here what happens late in the summer. These fish will feed up on top, the blacks, we call them black sea bass, and they'll eat this little swim bait like this right here. I don't know how good you can see that either. Looking at my face. You know, this blue was a hot color. You can see down in here I've got just a gazillion of different ones here. That was a good one, and I think these are like 4-inch, maybe 3.5, 4-inch, and just pair those up with a like a 1/2 ounce head, like this one right here. I'm not even sure that's a 1/2 ounce, but anyway, what you do is you just toss that out, let it sink down 4 or 5 feet, and just kind of rip it back to the boat, reel, stop, and you'll kind of get a pattern of what they want and how they want it. Sometimes they want it real fast, sometimes they want it sinking slow. But boy, it's a fun, and it's almost like, I know you could catch them on topwater lure like a bass fisherman does, you know. I've never done it because this is just a hoot. And if you have some kids or new fishermen, gosh, I think I have a little video I'll show you later of a buddy of mine that came up, and we got into them on a nice flat day last summer. Most of the time they're in a water column too, so if they're down in the water column, which that means, you know, if it's say 60 feet of water, then they're down there 45 feet, you just, you know, put this lure down there 45 feet, maybe go a little bit heavier head, and just kind of vertical jig it up and down, and as the boat moves it'll swim sideways and stuff like that, and they'll hammer that too. So that's a lot of fun. I got some of my old bass lures here that I've always wanted to try. I've never done it yet. I guess when I really get bored, I'll try that and see how they work. But most of the time I don't do that. So I mean, those two things right there, these spoons, these swim baits down here, I mean, you can't really go wrong with those. Those are probably my two top lures to go to. Now lingcod are a little bit different. I mean, they'll hit any one of those lures if they're up in the water column, which a lot of times they are. They'll, you know, we've caught them with 2-pound bass in their mouths at lingcod. So if you get them up in the water column with lingcod, they'll eat just about anything you throw out there. So, but things are a little bit different with them. Like right now, they're tight on the bottom. They're just probably about done spawning now. I know they spawn in March and most of the time, and maybe February, March, and April. But what I use those is totally different. We use like a bigger swim bait, say like this one here, something like that. You put it on a heavy head, and usually depending on the drift again. Here I have a 4-ounce head. I have a 3-ounce head, and then I have a 2-ounce. And you rig them exactly the same way that you would rig the swim baits for the rock bass, except they're just bigger. You know, you'll do that right there, and you just bounce these off the bottom. Again, you want to be pretty vertical. You let it go, sit out there, some sun on that, too much, and you're going to get hung up. So, but that's a really good rig right there. Anything, just about any color. Let me get this other box here real quick. All right, I'm back. I grabbed a few things out of another box that I have here. Now, we're lingcod, and I don't think I ever told you, but I use 30-pound test on the lings too. I think it's plenty big. You know, like say if you catch mostly 7 to 10-pound fish, that's fine. You can catch up to 30-pound with it too. No big deal. You know, I know guys that'll go 50 pounds, which is fine. You know, whatever your preference is, but 30 pounds is okay. Some of the other lures that I was going to tell you that I use, and these gulps have to be probably the best thing in my repertoire if you're gonna throw these. This is a nuclear chicken here, which is a real good one this time of year, and this other one I have here, it's a new penny. They're 6-inch grubs, and you can use them on these heads that I've got here, and I poured all these myself. You know, just you lose a lot and give them to your friends and that kind of stuff. So I think these are big 8/0 hooks that are on there. But anyway, you pair those up together, and it's fantastic. They just work really good. Now, one of the other things that we do use a lot, and if you saw my other videos about the herring, we use the herring for lingcod. You can do that all year long. You can use the herring. I have a lot of friends of mine that's all they'll use. They won't use anything else but the herring. That's fine too. You just gotta watch your drift. But anyway, there's a couple ways that you can do that. one of them is just like a mooching rig, they call it. I made a couple up here. I'll see if you can see these. So I made these with, I think these are 6 or 7 odd hooks. I'm not sure exactly what they are. They're 40-pound test. And again, that it does exceed the line that's on the reel that I have, and there's a reason for that. You're down there on the bottom most of the time with these fish, and where you're going to find them, and they're going to be in the rocks. They'll take you into a rock in a second if you're not right on them, you know. And so really what you want to do is have something that's gonna last. You know, if they're scraping around the rocks, you know, you catch one fish that's been in the rocks and you got a bad line, you just got to put a whole another rig on there. So anyway, so that's what I do. Pretty simple rig here. Got a knot tied in there, but anyway, put a swivel on one side. Go on to YouTube, find out how to make these. You can make this with a slider if you want it to slide, or you can just make them stationary like I do. They're just easier to tie, and I've never really seen the reason to do any other way. But anyway, here's one of the herring that I caught the last time I was out. And really all you want to do is just take one of these and put it up through the jaw. I hope I'm getting this on the camera right. Just come up like that on it. And take that back hook. And just take it and hook it through the back like that. One of the advantages of having that came out of there. One of the advantages of having this slider on that upper hook is that you have a big herring like this. You know, I can't get very far back. You know, you can bend it a little bit, get it like that, and bend it, get a little more action with it. Most of the time, all they're looking for is a smell and then the looks of the fish that's down there. So it's not that important, I don't think. Some guys are going to argue and say, yeah, it is. Anyway, kind of screwed that up. But anyway, you can see the idea of this. And all you're doing is just pulling this thing along the bottom. Now, you're going to say, well, how did you get it down there? Well, that's the next thing. What you do is you can use a banana weight like this. So just put the banana weight on like that, and then that'll go to your pole. And so you just have a leader out there, and this will bounce along the bottom. These work pretty well, these banana weights. I think it's 5 ounce. Sometimes you need a 5 because the current's so quick or the wind's blowing or something. Most of the time, anywhere from 2 to 3 ounces is the way to go. Now, there is another way. I don't have that with me, but let me go grab that real quick, and I'll show you another way with a 3-way swivel. Okay, I drew a little picture here. I hooked the rig up. I don't know if we're getting able to see it very good, but this is basically, hopefully you can see that. You got that good-looking fisherman there. He's got his fishing pole, and you go down to that 3-way swivel there, and you can see that the 3-way holds one end goes to the rod, the other end goes to the weight, and the other one goes to the bait that's over there, and hopefully a fish. What a nice thing about the way this is hooked up is that weight's going to bounce on the bottom. It'll keep that fish just bouncing around the same time. And that line that's there, I should have wrote that down, but the line that goes from the swivel to the bottom of the weight, I use like 15 pounds, because what that's going to do is if you get hung up, you know, that 15 pounds is going to break before anything else breaks, and that's usually 90% of the time what's going to get hung up is that weight. And you can use a cylindrical ball, you can use the teardrops, you can use kind of just about anything you want on those. You'll find out what works best when you're in the rocks like that. But so anyway, I'll show you what. So anyway, there you got a couple ideas on what I do. And again, there's a lot of different ways, and you know, if there's some better ways out there, boy, I sure hope you guys let me know. By no means am I an expert at this ocean fishing, but if there's something else that you'd like to comment on too, certainly appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe. I guess the last thing I want to talk about is leaving here. The ocean looks good Sunday, and you know, I got to leave on Tuesday. Buddy of mine's going to come down. I'll have my boat put up by then. Buddy of mine's going to come down, and hopefully I'll be able to go fishing with him. If not, the next adventures will be in Wyoming. So Anyway, take care. Hope to see you next time. Bye. Hey, one thing I want to talk about, and I didn't do that, and that is depth of water, what you look for, currents, position of the boat, the drift. This video is probably going to be too long as it is now, but someday I'll get around to doing that, and that's pretty crucial, just about as much as your tackle is. So someday I'll tackle that, and maybe when I'm out fishing we can actually give you some live on that. So anyway, we'll do that next time or some other time soon. Thanks. Okay, a good one?
Mediocre.
Mediocre, he says.
Got one on my pole over here.
Oh, that's not a bad fish. We're catching these rockfish out here in the ocean in Oregon.
See him on top? Sulfur. Oh, it's a monster.
This guy's going to retire before he gets in here. Don't lose him now. Look at the size of that one. Yeah, it's the biggest fish of the day.
Biggest fish.
So here's what we got. We just throw them on the floor because the fishing's so good. All right. Right, Ed?
Right.